Who's your favorite character from the Harry Potter universe?
I mean, I think I'd probably go Dobby, Hagrid, or Ron. Hello, everybody. Hola a todos. Welcome back. Bienvenidos otra vez. And this is Inglés Británico Podcast. I'm Lewis, and my co-host Chris is over there as well. Chris, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing really well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. I've just had to have another little bit of caffeine because I was getting a little bit tired. I'm looking at my hair as well, and I think I need to get my hair cut. I need to have my hair cut. But other than that, all good. No news is good news. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. A bit of a boring weekend. I think I'm excited for Christmas. However, I am also getting annoyed by Christmas, and I'll
Okay.
explain why. Just round the corner from my flat, my apartment, my flat, there is a green space. Let's say it's not a park, but it's a green space. So in the month of December, there's an ice rink there, there's an attraction. Again, I don't want to say a roller coaster. It's not a roller coaster, and Montaña Rusa no lo es, but one of those small attractions where it just spins around. So the last 3, 4 days and the next 3 or 4 weeks, I hear kids screaming. I hear, screaming in excitement. But still, it's annoying for me. I also hear lots of Mariah Carey. All I
All
want
I
for
want for
Christmas.
Christmas is...
Yeah, exactly. So today, obviously, as many of our listeners know, well, maybe they don't, we're recording on a Monday, sorry. So today is a day off, a public holiday in Spain. So it started at 12 p.m., the Christmas music in the park, in the green space. So yeah, that's my short venting my frustration. Sorry, listeners, this is supposed to be a fun podcast, but I'm using you guys to vent my frustration of Christmas themed attractions next to my flat. I don't mind if they're far away, but next to my flat every December is a bit too much. How about you? After my rant speaking for a long time in an angry way. After my rant, Lewis, how about you? How do you feel about Christmas? Are you excited? Are you a lover? Are you a Grinch?
I mean, it seems like I like Christmas a lot more than you do by the looks of it. Or maybe you're just a little bit grumpy at the moment. Un poco gruñón. A little bit moody at the moment. But I think it's understandable. I get why you would be frustrated if you can hear kids screaming and shouting. Everybody's having fun. And you're in your flat being annoyed by all of these noises, stuck at home, so it's completely understandable why you feel that way. And I don't mind you venting your anger, venting your frustration, letting it out. But in my case, apart from the weather being cloudy and depressing, I'm pretty good. I had a fairly busy weekend, a fairly sociable weekend, because I went out for dinner on Friday with some friends. Then on Saturday, I went to a gig. A gig
Nice.
away is another word for a concert. And then yesterday, Sunday, as always, I was just lazing around. I was just vegging out on the sofa. And I did something that actually made me think of you, Chris,
Oh
because
yeah.
I know we've spoken about Stranger Things before and you've mentioned how you love Harry Potter. Well, I watched 3 films of Harry Potter. I watched
Wow.
the second, the third, and the fourth. And of course, I've already watched these films a few times before, but my idea is to watch all of the Harry Potter films before Christmas because I remember the first few like so well, almost perfectly. But after like the fourth and the fifth, then my memory starts to get a little bit, confusing. And I'm like, wait, did this happen in the fourth or the fifth or the sixth? Who's this guy? So yeah, I was watching Harry Potter yesterday. A good Sunday.
Awesome. Oh, that's always a great Sunday. Who's your favorite character? Just quickly. We don't want to spend another 20 minutes talking about Harry Potter because I easily could. But a very quick question. Who's your favorite character from the Harry Potter universe?
I mean, I think I'd probably go Dobby, Hagrid, or Ron. One of these three.
Yeah, great choices. Yeah, Dobby. I love Dobby. I love Hermione as well. I do for anyone. And we mentioned this on a previous episode, but I think it's important to clarify Hermione, Hermione, Hermione in English. Yeah, maybe it's similar to Ron. It's an easy choice, but they're just amazing. Like, yeah, even Harry is a really cool character. But yeah, Dobby, wow. Everybody loves Dobby.
It was nice. And this is a little tip to anybody who is watching any of these films or series. I do something that maybe I wouldn't advise you learners to do, which is watching it with Spanish subtitles. And I do this just because I'm looking out to see if there are any nice phrases or expressions to quickly see the translation. That way I can take a note for upcoming videos. So that's something I do. While I would personally recommend that you, listeners, viewers, watch it in original version with English subtitles. But it's interesting to pick up on some nice advanced slang and words. And it's like, interesting. That's a cool word. And a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we mentioned a phrase that you taught, which was mark my words. Mark my words. And I think on the third film of Harry Potter, they use this phrase a lot. And I was like, yeah, now I remember. And mark my words is like saying, remember this. Mark my words, this will happen.
So I'm going to show off my Harry Potter knowledge here. I think it was Draco Malfoy. Mark my words, Potter. My father will hear about this. Yes, I think it's Draco Malfoy. Mark my words, my father will hear about this. Potter. Potter.
No.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I
Brilliant.
think that's enough about Harry Potter for now, but let us know. Are you a Harry Potter fan? And if so, who is your favorite character? And from there, let's get started with the topic of today's podcast, which is confusing. Oh, it's confusing in all languages, and it's all related to prepositions. Chris, do you ever struggle with prepositions in Spanish?
I struggle a little bit, but I think it's easier for us than it is for Spanish speakers using English prepositions. I think there are less in Spanish. For example, en could be in or on. I think that's the big difference. It's very difficult for Spanish speakers because en could be in or on, whereas it's easier for us because in or on can be en. We've actually got it a bit easier. So I don't know what your opinion on that subject is. What's your opinion about prepositions in Spanish and English?
I'd say that prepositions, I think, in all languages are always very confusing because there's never an exact rule. There are some guidelines, maybe, that you can follow, some trends that tend to be true or false. But often, as a teacher, if somebody asks me, why is it in and not on? Or why is it for and not of? A lot of the time, I do just have to reply saying, like, it's it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Es lo que hay. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean, there are rules, obviously, and we'll probably mention some of the rules in this episode, and we teach them all the time. But when you're speaking with friends and you're not really thinking about the rules, it can become very, very difficult. I'm sure it's the same with you. I have load of students who know it's depend on. They know it's depend on, but they speak quickly and so it depends in the weather. And it's like, yeah, God, depends. So yeah, exactly. They know them, but it's when you're speaking fluently, it's very difficult to obviously remember those rules. And yeah, that's what we're here to do is just kind of focus and train that memory because that's what it is. It's memories at the end of the day.
Now, 100%. I couldn't agree more. No podría estar más de acuerdo. I couldn't agree more. So let's get started, and I'll share my screen, and then we're going to go over some quick questions, some quick quiz questions, and see if you can guess the correct preposition. So I hope you're ready for a challenge. Chris, are you ready for the challenge as well?
I am. Are you ready for the challenge?
I hope so. I hope I was born ready. Let's see. Let's find out. And then after that, maybe we'll continue and go over a little bit more prepositions using prepositions of time or prepositions of place. So let me just open up the PowerPoint. Should have done this before. Maybe I wasn't ready, was I?
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. The coffee takes the priority. That's the first thing we need to focus on.
Always. Coffee comes first.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, do you want to kick off with the first one?
I would love to. So, obviously, Lewis, you will give us the answer, but we'll wait a few minutes, or not minutes, but we'll wait a little bit of time and let our listeners and viewers guess the answer. But the report must be submitted Friday at the latest. So, which of these prepositions would fit in this gap? Obviously, Lewis, I'm sure you know the answer, but we'll just wait a few more seconds. But I think, yeah, Lewis, what would you say is the answer here?
So allow me to kind of like analyze it a little bit. And
Please do.
first
Show
of
your
all,
workings. Yeah, show your workings, please.
we have three options. So we have on, by, and at. So let's do it by process of elimination, which in Spanish is like por descarte. So we're kind of removing the options first. And Friday is a day of the week. So we know that usually we would have on, and you would never ever have at, because we use at when speaking about a time of the day. So by process of elimination, we can remove at from the equation. Then, on Friday,
Then it gets trickier. Yeah.
there it gets a little bit tricky and the meaning changes. It's possible, maybe, to use both, but the meaning will be different. If I say by Friday, I'm saying that that is the limit. It could be any time before then. Whereas if I say on Friday, I'm saying specifically that day. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
would
what
say,
would you say is more common in the professional environment? Obviously, I completely agree with your explanation. In a professional context, which one would make more sense?
I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, by is more common because it's saying that you can complete it and you could submit it any time before Friday and including Friday as well.
Yeah.
On Friday is like, okay, I want it specifically on that date. It's like, okay, I've already finished.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday. Do I keep it to myself?
Yeah,
No, of
I've
course
never
not.
heard of a manager be like, no, no, I don't want it today. I want it tomorrow. Well, but today gives us an extra day to do other work. No, no, no. Give it to me tomorrow. Yeah, it's not something you would genuinely, generally hear. Sorry. So yeah,
Absolutely
bye. I
not.
completely agree with your explanation. Grammatically, it could be on, but it's not that common in the professional landscape. We're gonna say bye.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. I'll take that little victory. Now, let's move on to the next one then. So, here, I guess I'll be reading it and then you'll have to maybe analyze and answer.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, she's fluent, three languages and conversational in two more. Your options are at, with, or in. Over to you.
Well, so to show my work as well as you did, this is a bit trickier, I think, because when I look at this, we have a at. We can be good at things. So maybe I'm not going to eliminate it just yet, but we can be good at something. So there's a possibility maybe this could work. Fluent with three languages. again, there is a kind of maybe logic. I don't want to say yes or no, but there is maybe a logic there. And then fluent in three languages, maybe thinking about it objectively from a student's point of view, maybe is the least likely of the three. However, there are things called dependent prepositions, which mean a certain preposition will always go with certain words. And with the word fluent, we are fluent in languages. So even though at could make sense because it's good at something. No, you can't be fluent at something. It doesn't work. Even though fluent with three languages again kind of makes sense that you're with them, you work together maybe. But no, these are dependent prepositions. When we say fluent, we are fluent in languages. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Absolutely
I don't know if
perfect.
you have anything else you would like to add. I'm going to just quickly make a very unprofessional comment. My phone is dying, so I'm going to quickly grab my charger, and it's not going to interrupt the flow of the video. But do you have any extra thoughts on this answer in particular while I quickly get my charger?
Be my guest. Be my guest is a nice way of saying, like, go ahead, make yourself at home. But to be honest, this one, I don't think there's really that much else to explain. But you are fluent in a language. I would say that I am fluent in Spanish. There's always room for improvement, but I'd say more or less I'm fluent in that language. And sometimes there isn't all that much to explain. Sometimes it just is the way it is. And if you're asking yourself so many questions, then you might just get stuck and obsessed. So that's it. Fluent in. Simple.
Perfect. And thank you for covering for me while I quickly connected my charger. Seamless. That was seamless. Nobody even noticed. I didn't even need to mention it. I should have
I
just
mean,
kept quiet. But yeah,
you could have kept it to yourself, but no, no,
I
no.
could have done,
You're a
yeah.
guy who likes to share, and share you did.
I mean, yeah, transparency with our viewers. Let me just make sure it's connected. There we go. I heard the
100%.
noise. There we go.
We're good to go. So the next one, I believe your turn
So
to read.
let me ask you, Lewis. So the company invested heavily renewable energy last year with the three options in, on, or for. So explain your thought process to us, please.
I would love to. My pleasure. So, of course, invest is very similar to spend. And I don't know if this is an option later on in the PowerPoint, so maybe I won't say it. But when we're speaking about money and invest or spend, we'd never use for. So I would remove for from the equation immediately, again by process of elimination. And then with these different verbs, spend and invest, one of them uses one preposition and the other one uses another one, in or on. So if you're not sure, you're going to have to take a guess, but at least you've narrowed down the options. And I'll tell you, because I know for a fact, I love investing. So the company invested heavily in renewable energy last year. So it's confusing. I'm not sure exactly why we use in or on, but again, that's the way it is. It is, as you said, one of these dependent prepositions, and you invest in something or someone. That's it. You make an investment.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well that we can even use adverbs, we can use intensifiers. Here we have invest heavily. So there's a word in the middle, but the preposition would still link with invest. I think that's very important to remember. These dependent prepositions, they don't always have to immediately follow the word. There could be words in the middle, but they still link with that preposition. So to invest in something, invest heavily in something, to invest a great deal of money in something. So it's always going to be that invest in. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And just a little bit of pronunciation. Some people will sometimes mispronounce this word, and it is renewable. Renewable. Renewable energy. Renewable energy. All right. On that note, let's keep going. So, Chris, I'll read it. I'll leave the keys, the reception desk for you. And your options are at, on, and in. The classics. So,
The classics.
this one's tricky.
So, well, we had to obviously include this one. Yes, I would say this is one of the trickier ones for students because we just mentioned dependent prepositions is memory. It's just we have to remember which preposition goes with which word. These are obviously prepositions which do have logic and rules behind them. So they're prepositions of placement, prepositions of position. So for anyone who doesn't know, to very, very quickly summarize it, we would use in if it's inside something. We would use on if it's on top of something or even on a wall attached to something on the surface, we would say on. And if it's the specific location or, the general area, we use at. So this is where it gets confusing. Lots of our students, okay, just to ignore reception desk, I'm going to use hotel as an example. Lots of my students say, is it at the hotel or in the hotel? It's not on. So anyone who's, it's definitely not on because that would be on the roof. No. So it's in or at. And teacher, which one is it? Well, technically it's both. You could be in the hotel, meaning inside the building, or you could be at the hotel, which could also be inside the building, but could be at the front door, at the entrance, at the lobby. It's kind of a bit more open to interpretation, let's say. So the reception desk, that was the hotel, the building. When we think about a reception desk, can it be in a reception desk? Not exactly. Can it be on a desk? Yeah, it could be on a desk. But the reception desk, I'm not talking about where it is physically, it's at the reception desk. So I hope my explanation was clear to everyone. But the reason this is at is because I'm talking about the specific location. I'm not saying it's inside. I'm not saying it's on top of. I'm saying it's in that area or it's in the area, but it's at the reception desk. I don't know if you have any tricks that you usually teach your students. I stick to that inside, on the surface, and at a specific location, at the door, for example. Have you got any other tricks?
No, I agree with you 100% with this if we're speaking generically about prepositions of place. If it's on, then it has to be on top of something, as you said, a surface. If it's in, it needs to be enclosed somehow with doors or similar. And at is the most generic, I'd say, because it's at different places. When you were explaining, you were talking about at reception, at the corner shop, at I don't know what I could say, at the vending machine, for example. You are basically next to a specific place. And in this case, you just say the desk. Okay, you left the keys on the desk. Perfect, because it's on the surface. But because the reception desk in a hotel is a specific place within the hotel, that's what separates it, let's say.
Perfect, exactly, yeah.
Cool.
But understandably very tricky. We as English teachers, me and Lewis, or Lewis and I, we are very aware of the difficulties, and we hope that helps clear up any doubts.
Perfect. Phrasal verb, by the way. I like it. To clear up.
Yeah. Clear up, to clarify. There we go. Aclarar, to clear up any doubts.
Perfect.
So I believe it's just my turn to ask you, Lewis. So I think maybe this one our listeners will already know. We've mentioned it a couple of times already in this episode. Her success depends how well the team adapts to the changes. We have the options of, on, and with. So, Lewis, explain to us your thought process here, please.
So again, by process of elimination, we can get rid of with. I don't think anybody's ever going to anticipate and think that it might be it depends with. So I know you're not thinking that. But then, of course, in Spanish is depender de. And if you think about the famous song, Jarabe de Palo, de que depende. Da, 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 da. So in this case, you might think that from Spanish, if it were translated just like it is in Spanish, it would be that it depends of. However, that's not the case. It's not the same as in Spanish, and that's why so many students make this error when they will say it depends of the weather, it depends of the day, it depends of the season. All incorrect. We always need to use it depends on the weather, the day,
Yeah.
the season. So in this case, her success depends on how well the team adapts to the changes. And we always use on unless you're literally just saying depende. It
Yeah,
depends.
it depends.
And a similar principle makes sense for listen as well. So in that case, the only scenario when you wouldn't use the preposition of listen is if you just say escucha. Like listen. But in every other scenario, music, podcasts, you listen to music. You listen to podcasts. So yeah, it depends. It depends on the day, year, whatever. Depende de, it depends on.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. It's dependent prepositions, which they depend on the word. Yeah, it's in the explanation of what are dependent prepositions. Dependent prepositions are prepositions that depend on the word before it. Yeah, so I don't think I could add anything more. That was perfectly explained. I think this is,
Nothing
like you
further
said,
to add.
yeah, the Spanish translation makes this one of the most common mistakes I hear. Yeah, it's always it depends of, it depende de. So I completely get the mistake, but we just have to remember, guys, like Lewis mentioned, in English, it's always depend on.
Perfect. Good. All right, now we've cleared that up. Let's move on to the next one. Chris, we've been working this project for more than 8 months, and your options are on, for, or in. What would you say?
Well, so this is a very interesting one because the word work can go with all three of these answers. We can work on, we can work for, and we can work in. So the only way to know the answer is to know what are we working the next thing, which in this case is the project. So this project gives us the answer because we can say work in, but this would be an industry or a physical location like an office. So, for example, me and Lewis work in education. It's the industry we work in. We work in education. I don't work in an academy, but that's another example of in. So I work in an academy or I work in an office, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
not related to projects. So we can eliminate in. For, we can work for, but this would be our boss, our employer. So me and Lewis used to work for Teachify. They were the people who employed us. We were employees. We worked for Teachify. So a Google employee works for Google. We can also use work for our individual supervisors. I work for Maria, or I work for Lucas, etc. So again, not related to projects. So we're left with on. And when do we use work on? for projects. Not just project, but projects, tasks, the actual work, the work we do, we work on. So I'm working on a project right now. We've been working on this project for more than 8 months. I'm working on a task for my boss. I'm working on um, some information gathering, anything, any task or project is you're working on it. So yeah, interesting because all of the prepositions go with work, but only one of the prepositions goes with work, a project to work on. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Lewis.
I think you covered everything. You nailed it, as you said earlier. Lo has clavado. Has dado en el clavo. You nailed it. So yeah, I
Thank
have
you.
no further to add, to be honest. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Now, I believe this is our last one before the joke and before we wrap it up. So, Chris, could you read it for me?
I would love to. So he's sorry, I would love to. Yes, I've been waiting for you to ask me all day. Sorry,
Enthusiasm. We love it.
I know, yeah. But anyway, sorry. It's because sometimes it comes off as sarcastic. Another phrase of come off as to appear, parecer, come on. Yeah, so sometimes it comes off as sarcastic, but no, I genuinely am very enthusiastic to
We
hear
want
your
it.
answer. Yeah. So he specializes cybersecurity and data protection. We have the answers or the possible answers at, in, and on. So, Lewis, take it away.
So again, knowing that our viewers or listeners are Spanish speakers, I assume, if you're thinking in Spanish, se especializa en algo. Es especialista en algo. So again, logically, we can remove at from the equation. Perhaps it could be at, but that's probably not what you're thinking. And you're right to think that way, because at is not the option. It's not the correct answer. So then we have a toss-up between in and on. And here, honestly, you're just going to have to guess. You're just going to have to think like, okay, let's find out which one it is, and then write it down, go over it, review it, hear it more often, and then it will become more natural when you're speaking to use one or the other. And in this case, you specialize in something, or you are a specialist in something. So that is the correct answer. And honestly, there's not much I can tell you to explain why we use in over on. Beats me. I'm not sure. But again, as I said earlier, maybe the reason why isn't always so important. We don't always need to know why one preposition is used over another. The only thing you need to know is like which one is right. And the same applies to many things in life. You don't need to know why we are here on planet Earth. Just, we're here, so let's enjoy it.
Exactly. I think it's quite interesting why it's kind of a double bluff. A bluff comes from poker, which means
Un farol.
una decepción. Oh, there's a word. What was it? Sorry?
Farol, yeah.
Parol, I didn't
Farol.
know that. Parol. So that's a bluff. So this is kind of a double bluff because there are words like enfocarte en, which is focus on. So as we mentioned earlier, is it in, is it on? And it's normally on because it's normally difficult. So then I've got a load of students who are like, oh, special, it's going to be on. Seguro que va a ser on, porque siempre digo in y siempre is on. But no, this one, especializarte en, is exactly the same. It's like a double bluff. Yeah, it's what the obvious answer is actually the correct answer.
Exactly. So in that case, sometimes you just got to guess, find out, and then from that point, try to memorize it as much as possible, review it, repeat it until you know it like the back of your hand. And I know what you're thinking. Como la palma de tu mano. In English, you could maybe say like the palm of your hand, but we don't really say it. I think, at least around my environment and people I know, it's way more common to say like the back of your hand than like the palm of your hand. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a question of memorizing it. Practice makes progress, at least.
Yeah. It's interesting, that expression. I completely agree with you. It's much more natural for me to say like the back of my hand. But I have seen on series and in films, maybe it's an American British differentiation. I honestly don't know. But I have heard like the palm of my hand, but it's not what I would use myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, we've pretty much run out of time. So, Chris, have you got a joke to finish off the podcast this week?
I do. It's a difficult one for our Spanish speakers learning English because it involves an idiomatic expression, but we're going to try it anyway and hopefully maybe teach a new expression as well. So, Lewis, I'm reading this amazing book at the moment. Honestly, it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's all about anti-gravity and I can't even put it down. It's amazing. I can't put it down. There we go. Again, I hate to explain jokes, but obviously, idiomatic expression. I think in Spanish, creo que en español, cuando estás disfrutando un libro, se dice no puedo parar. Like, I can't stop. In English, we say I can't put it down. Hablando de no puedo poner el libro como en, no sé, la mesa o lo
La
que sea.
mesa.
Like, exacto, la sigo leyendo. No puedo dejar de leer in inglés. I can't put it down. So, obviamente, a book about anti-gravity, which you can't physically put down. It's a good example of a phrasal verb as well. Yeah. So you can't put the book down physically because it's gravity, but it's an amazing book and I can't put it down. Sorry for the explanation for anyone that did understand the joke, and I just made it 1,000 times less funny. But for any bookworms, anyone who loves reading, that's the English expression. Oh, this book is amazing. I can't put it down. Harry Potter is amazing. I can't put it down.
Great.
Have
Perfect.
you heard that one
Bravo,
before?
bravo. I
Was
think
that?
so. It rings a bell. It sounds familiar, but I hadn't heard it for a long time for sure. And I like it. It's a nice advance. So good job. And
Thank you very
that's it
much.
then. So much, everybody, for watching or listening. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, follow for more. We're back every single week. So it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. See you soon.